Hi, I'm Kirsty. I run Edinburgh Food Social. I'm a chef, an activist, and it feels a bit funny to say that these days because I feel like I spend a lot of the time behind a computer and planning things. But yes, that's my background and that's what I do. So Edinburgh Food Social is a social enterprise where we're trying to ensure that everyone in Scotland not only has access to Scotland's great produce, but knows what to do with it. So we're about ensuring that young people in communities are able to engage with food and improve their food cultures. So be that meals for people in food poverty that they access through the food banks and the pantries, or catering events, which is how we kind of generate the income to help fund this, that then people we teach and are engaged in can see the catering operation that we're part of. Yeah, so Edinburgh Food Social, we've got kind of three pillars, which are community, dignity and sustainability. And as an organisation in the last few years, we took a really conscious choice as an aim to change the food culture of Craigmillar, which is our local area. So most of our work is focused in this area, and we're kind of doing a big intensive programme around everything we can do to try and improve people's access to food and their eating habits and their sort of engaging with local and seasonal food. So we're teaching everything from like short day classes to 6 to 8 week projects where at the end of it people put on community meals, to putting meals in the pantries, and to having apprenticeships for young people who want to become chefs. Yeah, so Edinburgh Food Social is a CIC, social enterprise, because we thought that was kind of the best model for it being an organisation, because we wanted to be able to have an income generating stream to help fund our work so we could be slightly self-sustainable. But our catering and our income generating stream is more than just a sort of income generation for us, because then it allows the people that we're teaching, and particularly the people that might be interested in becoming a chef, to see us as an active part of the hospitality industry. So everyone that comes into our kitchen, sees all the job sheets up on the board, they see us making things for other events, and they might get to come and work for us sort of at events, at weddings, at big dinners and things. So therefore it ensures that we're still a really active part of the industry that we're talking about and are part of, and that we're able to be purchasing from these good local suppliers and doing the things that we want to do. So it really turns it into an organisation that isn't just kind of doing the food work and teaching people to cook, but allowing all the people we teach to see us as a much bigger thing. Yeah, so Edinburgh Food Social, we're kind of trying to get everybody to engage with food, but particularly we're focused on the people in Craigmillar at the moment as our sort of changing the food cultures. But our catering work expands far beyond that, and sort of with everybody, we're trying to get them to engage with sort of local seasonal food. You get lots of people who, for the wedding menus and things, they want salmon on it instinctively. It's really hard to get ethical and sustainable salmon in Scotland. So we're always trying to work with people to slightly tailor their choices, get them to be a bit creative and think beyond that. So we're engaging with as many people as we can, basically, to try and slightly alter people's food habits, but also give them just best, delicious, good quality food. So for our sourcing, we work with lots of different suppliers, and we're really lucky to have so many great suppliers actually all around Edinburgh. So, we get our sort of oil deliveries every 3 weeks from the rapeseed fields just outside of Edinburgh. The Free Company every couple of weeks, a farm on the other side of town, send us a meat box with a selection of kind of what they've got available. Every couple of weeks we get a veg box and much bigger orders from Fantasy out in East Lothian. So we have our sort of staples of things that we definitely get in to ensure that we've always got good, great quality produce around us. And then beyond that, we kind of order as we need, but we also work with Fair Share, and we get 75 kilos of food that was destined for the bin that kind of supermarkets and places were discarding that comes into our kitchen every week. It's kind of interesting, it's slightly depressing when you get all these fruit and vegetables from, across the other side of the world, when there's things that could have been here in season. But on the other hand, it's like a great way for forcing our chefs and us to be really creative. You never know what you're quite going to get that comes in from there. So it's a sort of fun 75 kilo haul of a mixture of anything and everything, which makes it, quite an interesting. But yeah, we're just always trying to engage with kind of different people. We used to have a great partnership with Kilduff Farm, where they would send us hundreds of pumpkins every year. I think the chefs got slightly sick of it. I love pumpkins; they're my favourite. But chopping pumpkins all the time is not quite so fun. But it's a glorious, having all these places give us wonderful produce is such a privilege. And in Edinburgh, we are in quite a good position. There's seafood farms of all sorts all around us. Yeah, so this is our food truck. I feel like it should have a name right now, but it doesn't. So our food truck was one of our sort of earliest projects that we started at Edinburgh Food Social, where it's called our food truck project. We mainly use it for teaching. So it's a 6 to 8 week project where young people learn essentially cooking skills, but then they also at the end of it are going to go out and run the food truck. So it's a really good tool for getting them to think about menus and beyond themselves. Who are the people coming to the food truck? What do they want to be eating? Costings, how you actually operate a food truck in terms of the service and things. So it's a really good way of getting them to engage not just in the cookery skills, but also food as a business and the sort of wider things around hospitality and how you engage with it. So we ran it for very many years now in kind of lots of different schools and places. But then it also goes out to various different sort of catering gigs, sometimes weddings. It might go off to the food festival this year. So we engage in lots of different ways, but primarily we use it as a great teaching tool. Yeah, so we're part of the Edinburgh Social Enterprise Network as an organisation, and that's been quite good for just learning lots more kind of about how different social enterprises operate. There's been some good learning exchanges where we've engaged with other enterprises kind of doing similar or work that we can learn from as an organisation. So to be able to go and visit them and be put in touch with different people is always really interesting. And it's a great way of finding out sort of different opportunities and got events to sort of learn skills. We're a small organisation, so the more that we can kind of team up and work together. I always think you don't want to reinvent the wheel, so what we can learn from each other is always great. So networks like Social Enterprise Edinburgh are really good for helping us stay connected to people. I think the question of growth is a really interesting one. I always say that we want to do what we do really well rather than them becoming really huge. And I think that's what we're always kind of concentrating on. Equally, it would be nice to be a bit bigger and have a few more staff, just kind of bulk things out a little bit. But yeah, you want to really make sure that you're growing in a way that is sustainable, that's giving people, decent jobs and decent wages, but that's also meaning that our kitchen isn't far too busy, that it's accidentally squeezing out our community work, or that our community work is not meaning that we have a catering operation that we can fit people we teach into. So we have to grow really sustainably. As with kind of all things, growth is hardest in terms of having the sort of income to do so. The hospitality industry is a quite hard one to make money in. Prices fluctuate dramatically of sort of vegetables. Our main costs are sort of wages and energy. We've seen those things go up dramatically over the last few years. The price of oil and all of these sorts of things went up dramatically. So it's a kind of interesting one that people in Britain, spend more time thinking and talking about food than ever before, but yet they're still hesitant to pay the money that it costs to have good food and that people paid for. So it's an interesting one. We can't charge too high for our catering because we don't want to also price people out, but equally, to be able to generate enough to be self-sufficient is very hard. And then we get some funding, but as with kind of all the issues with kind of lots of organisations, getting funding that helps you cover some of those core costs or wages or be flexible, or that doesn't want you to sort of invent a new project all of the time. We don't want to be inventing new projects. We know what we're doing is working, and so we want to kind of keep doing that. So whilst in some ways, we want to grow and continue to exist and have our people, I'm more concentrating on doing what we do really well. Oh, I love Edinburgh. My granny always said I was Edinburgh's biggest fan. I'm a bit too keen with Edinburgh. I just never want to, it's just great. It's such a good city. I feel like it's a big city that's really small. You know, it's like a village that there's kind of everywhere you go, there's different people to interact with. I mean, for us and our work at Edinburgh Food Social, it's great because we've been chefs, we've all worked in different places, so we've got this amazing network of other restaurants and chefs and people across the city who help us in so many ways. Yeah, we're surrounded by all these amazing farms and seas and waterways. You can go to the mountains, you can go to the beach, you can kind of do everything from Edinburgh. So yeah, I'm such a fan of Edinburgh and all the things that it offers to us and the people we work with and all the different communities that exist with Edinburgh. So yeah, I'm a big fan. The next year for us is quite an exciting one. It's the sort of end of our biggest project that we've been running around this changing the food culture in Craigmillar. So we've got our kind of last year of what was officially set. So then we're looking at kind of what comes next and beyond that. It's not that I think it's going to change dramatically, but we're going to do some, you know, sitting down and looking at everything. One of the key things that we've got, which somewhat seems a bit boring, but I think is really going to help set our direction in a good way, is we're going to do a food census of the whole of Craigmillar. So that's going to be a fairly intensive door-to-door out at GP surgeries, the schools, everything, of asking sort of everyone in Craigmillar sort of all of their food habits, where they're purchasing their food, how often they're using the food banks and pantries, their dietary requirements, yeah, what support they need to access better food. And that's going to really give us like this amazing amount of data to really help us decide that, you know, we're not just deciding what we want to be doing, but we're doing what needs to happen in the area, but also for advocating for the people in Craigmillar and what they need. So we know that what we're saying to the council and the government and everyone around people's needs and, you know, the struggles they have in accessing food, that we've got real good data behind that. So in some ways, compared to, you know, all the meals and things we host, you might say a bit less sort of sexy and exciting, but is really going to be great for helping shape the next sort of 3-5 years of work. So yeah, over the next year, we're kind of going to be developing that. But then we've also got lots of exciting things. This year, we're really involved in bringing back the sort of Craigmillar Festival and trying to make that a big thing, which is so great for the community. And last year was our first year of doing a sort of big community event for Bonfire Night. We're going to be doing that again next year, and like last year there was over 600 people that came, so I know everybody's always really excited about that already. So yeah, we've got loads of really good things happening this year, but it's going to be grounded and based our next sort of, yeah, all the plans to come off this food census. So I think kind of sadly I'm most excited about that. Edinburgh Food Social is a social enterprise that teaches young people and communities about food, food education, and ensures that they have access to Scotland's good produce and they know what to do with it.